Okay, so for my final video in the McGrath Star Wars series, I'm going to be doing the golden one. This is the more neutrally one, and this is also the only quint in the trio that has a matte shadow in it. So, you know, just for people who care about that, now you know. Again, at this point, this is being filmed so late, I don't know how many of these are left in stock. So if they're all sold out by this point in time, oh well. So this is kind of the warmest quint, very pretty. Feels super like summery to me personally, but that's just me. So I'm gonna do a look with it and we'll wrap up this little collection. I have so many other much more exciting products in my queue I'm looking forward to filming with after I can finally wrap this up. So also, it is Monday night when I'm filming this. I do get on the plane and leave Thursday morning. So I did put on my VDL Serenity eye primer today, and I'm going to go ahead and use what few brushes I have. I did finally wash my brushes, which means that they are all currently drying. I will try my best to use every single shade in this quint. So what I'm gonna do is I think I'm gonna start off with this shade. I'll deepen up the look with this shade. I'll use these two on the lid and outer corner, and then I'll use this on the inner corner. And as you can see, this shade is like a really nice satin. It's actually quite cute. This is the first time I've seen a satin formula in any of these quints. So that'll be kind of unique. So I'm just gonna kind of, yeah, this looks like a shade I can sheer out pretty easily. Now my eye primer is on the tackier side of things. So if this shade looks like it's sticking down and not blending, that would be because I'm currently working on a completely unset base, which is what I prefer to do. So because I'm going to be adding depth closer to my eyelid in a vertical gradient, I'm just going to let this shade be up top, and I'm just going to try my best to blend it out. If I need to go in with a really light colored matte, I will. It's actually a really cute satin. It's definitely on the shinier side of satin, but it's really cute, and it doesn't come across as feeling crumbly or dry feeling or frosty. So I would say this is a pretty good satin. Definitely better than satins I've seen in her other palettes like Celestial Nirvana. I'm never gonna stop ragging on that palette, I swear. I'm glad if you like it, but I was so disappointed. So that was that satin shade. I'll work on it more. It looks a little rough right now. It's a little no shape kind of a situation, but it'll look better. So I'm gonna go into that dark brown. It's got a slight warm tint to it. It's definitely like a pretty typical brown. There's nothing special about this brown. Wow, that's a brown. I've never seen it before. So this is gonna go all over my eyelid. So we're doing a smoky eye again. And I'll kind of follow the upward angle I created. I don't know. I'm just messing around, honestly. She is using the litter box right now. I'm using a fluffier brush for this, but I'm still able to get a really great amount of pigmentation. There is some powder kick up in the pan, but laying it on my eyelid, it adheres to my skin well without fallout, and I'm able to blend it into the other shade really easily. So good formulation. I would say these, I think I've mentioned it before, but I feel like the mattes in her quints are even more easy to use than the mattes in her motherships because they are kind of more loosely pressed and they are a little bit more powdery, so they blend easier and build easier versus the drier consistency of her motherships. I feel like even I sometimes have trouble working with them. I kind of have a love-hate relationship with her mothership mattes. I feel like her mothership mattes are just kind of high maintenance. Like sometimes if I don't use the right primer, if I don't prep my eyelid correctly, it's like it doesn't work. Okay, so I do think I need to use some kind of like light powder just to blend all of this out, and there's not that in this quint, of course, which is completely fine. I know it's kind of sort of cheating, but like whatever. So I'm probably just gonna use like one of these shades up here in Outer Dimensions really quickly, and I'll just use that to make sure everything is thoroughly blended. And this is just making sure I can get a smooth blend above everything. I'm just using my right hand for this eye just because I'm holding Outer Dimensions with my left hand. I don't like doing this, but okay, so I think that helped significantly with softening up those edges. So I'm now going to, yeah, I'll use this Rougher 28. I'm going to start using I'm going to use a very light layer of the dark brown on my lower lash line. As you can see, it spreads so easily. Like I can spread just a little bit really far. I'm not going to really like connect it. Other eye. Not really getting much fallout even using it on my lower lash line either. sticks to my skin and then blends out as if it was like super creamy or something. Yeah, this is definitely my favorite matte formula from her so far. It's so easy to work with. Yeah, I do actually really like how this looks, and the very subtle shine of the coral just kind of adds some really interesting dimension to the eyelid. So now I'm gonna go into these shimmers, and I'm hoping that we can get a good result out of these. So I'm gonna use the Rephr 28 again. I'm going to put the gold kind of in the inner third-ish part, and then I'm gonna put the copper kind of outer part-ish. I mean, we'll kind of play by ear. As I've mentioned in my previous quint video, I have noticed quite a few different finishes and textures of shimmers and metallics in her quints. Personally, I like it. I'm a fan. Okay, yeah, this is pretty foiled, but it's not ultra shiny, but it's definitely got kind of more of an opaque base with a finger versus shearing it out using a brush. I'll use a finger for this. Yeah, so not ultra shiny, but it is shinier than some of the other smooth foils in the other quints. It is shinier. I suspect just because it's gold, it looks good shinier. I think this might be a similar formula. Yeah, this one's going to be very similar. Nice and foiled and opaque. So because it's a little bit darker, reflecting less light will make it appear darker as opposed to appearing lighter. So this is a really great shimmer if you want that depth. I definitely think some eyeliner when I finish up this look will help add some structure back, because as of right now the eye look is looking a little bit formless. But you can see how much depth that shade added. When I turn, it is shiny, but it's not reflecting a lot. So I do really appreciate this one being less reflective and less sparkly because it is darker in value. Yeah, do you see that depth it's bringing? That is so cool. So I am going to go ahead and tap this on the lower lash line as well. I'm going to be careful because lower lash line is where you can sometimes get some fallout if you're not careful. Yeah, I got a tiny bit of fallout, but it's not super big deal. Oh yeah, I really do like that copper shade. That definitely improved this look significantly. Okay, so finally it's going to be the inner corner, which is kind of this iridescent pink. Honestly, it's not my favorite kind of shade, but we'll go with it. Yeah, I'm not like the biggest fan of shades that have this kind of shift to it, to be honest, so these aren't shades I use often purely out of personal preference, but it's a lot more sparkly with kind of that wet looking kind of sheerer base. So it seems in this quint we have two more like foiled smooth shades, with the gold being slightly more reflective than the copper, and then we've got one kind of more sparkly shade, which is that was kind of in line with my expectations. So I'm pleased. I think that's a good distribution for what is essentially a neutral quint. Yeah, as I've said before, not really a super big fan of that shift there, but we'll roll with it. And then I do want to put this on my lower lash line, but I don't have an applicator to use right now. So when that happens, I can actually just use my fingernail. I know it's like so silly, but I can actually use my fingernail to apply it. And then I just want to kind of make sure it's like a little bit more intense. And then lastly, I am going to go back into that coral satin. I'm just going to make sure I brush one last layer over everything. And then lastly, I think I want to take just a little bit of that underneath everything on the lower lash line, particularly because I got a little bit messy. This will kind of help cover that up. Smoked out the lower lash line a little bit more, which I actually think looks really cute. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and put on some eyeliner. I think this look needs it, so for that, I'm just gonna use whatever eyeliner I have. I packed up some of my favorite eyeliners, so I'm just gonna use the first one that I grabbed. And I'm gonna put on lashes after this, so it'll help too. And then just do the same. I'm gonna be putting on false lashes, so the eyeliner looks a little bit long now, but it will kind of match the intensity of the lashes once those are on. Yeah, and so I kind of, it's like a little Douyin. I kind of did a small, tiny Douyin-esque lower liner. It's not as like dramatic as Douyin. It's not like as obvious, but. And then I'll also just take, just because I have it, I'm just gonna take the same pencil liner and run it on the inner corner. and it really lets you just like define your eyes more. So I think that eyeliner really helped to add some structure to this look. Otherwise the look kind of was like just like this formless blob. So that helped a lot. So I'm gonna put on my lashes, I'll finish up the rest of my makeup, and then I'll be back to discuss this quint and just kind of wrap up this collection. Okay, so this is gonna be my finished look. My hair is just up because I've just been packing and I've been all over the place, but as you can see, lashes and liner definitely makes a really big difference when my eyeshadow look is a little disorganized. I think now my eyes definitely have way more structure. I did use some brown lower lash mascara just to kind of match with the brown eyeliner. I mean, whatever. For my blush, I used a variety of shades in the Moon Prism blush. Honestly, I just kind of mixed everything together and put it everywhere until I got a result that I liked. I do have a lot of texture on my cheeks right now. I think it's just mostly from like stress, so I tried my best to kind of blend over that without paying too much attention to it, and so I used a more subtle highlighter today because I didn't really want to draw attention to all that texture. So I used the Flower Nose Chocolate Shop palette for my highlighter and also my contour. So you can see the contour on the outside of my face, and the highlighter is from this, which is really, really pretty. I love this so much. And then for my lips, after I overlined my lips, I used the Bubble Soft Matte Lipstick in the shade Rose Tea. This is from the Fresh 02 Tea Time with Pony collab. As you can see, it has really cute blue packaging, and then when you open it up, it's just a soft kind of semi-matte bullet. Really, really pretty. Actually a surprisingly comfortable blurring formula. As you can see on my lips, it looks really pretty. It doesn't really make my lips look dry or shriveled, and it doesn't emphasize the lines either. So I do really like this, and it's just a really soft, pretty rose shade with a hint of warmth to it. So kind of just neutral, goes with anything kind of look. So this is going to be the finished look. So as I said before, this is the last quint that I am working on. So with this, I am more or less concluding my Star Wars and Pat McGrath series. So I hope you guys found these videos helpful, and if not, maybe you found them inspiring. If you like the shades and you didn't get it or you missed out, maybe you can kind of use this look as an idea for duping the vibes, because this is definitely a quint you can duplicate pretty easily. I don't think you need this quint to make this look. Just my 2 cents. So as I've mentioned before, I think this one has some really interesting formulas. This is the only quint to have this really interesting satin. It looks a lot darker in pan, but on my eye you saw I was able to actually create a really pretty wash. These 2 shades are kind of more of that smooth foil, with the gold being more reflective. This is a gorgeous, beautiful, easy to work with matte. Not unique, but definitely solid. And then this is more of that sparkly, wet, kind of sheer toppery kind of formula. So that's the formula spread in this quint. I think it's really great. It definitely feels like it was geared towards people who just want a warm, neutral palette. I don't necessarily think I can call the look I created with this daytime office appropriate. I guess it depends on what office you work at. But I definitely think this is the most neutral out of it, especially given that this is the only quint with a matte in it out of all 3. So overall, I did enjoy using this quint. It's the least interesting to me, and personally this kind of iridescent pink inner corner is my least favorite highlight shade ever. So for personal preference reasons, I almost never use shades like these on my face. I just don't really like them. That is not a dig on the quality of this quint. I had a really great easy time working with it. It's just more about it being not super unique and having a color that I just don't really care for. Quality wise though, it's fine. So I would say that I have no complaints about this quint. There's none of those darker shades that are tricky to work with. Everything in here to me felt super, super easy to use. So if you're not super skilled with eyeshadow, I think you will have a great time working with this. I could even see you just washing the satin color all over your eyelids with your finger and just kind of paint it on and call that a look and just be done. Like that could be a one shadow ling. I could totally see that being a thing. So I think this is definitely going to be the most versatile, beginner friendly quint. Like as I said, at the time of this filming, it's so late now, I honestly don't know if you can even get these anymore, but for what it's worth, I hope that you guys found this video to be fun and interesting. I definitely think if she were to do more Star Wars collabs, it's not going to be a, oh, I'm going to buy it no matter what it is. I'm definitely going to be like really looking at it to decide. I am well aware that she is releasing a Valentine's collection, but I will be out of town when it drops, and honestly by the time I get back, it's I don't want to say I only buy product for the views on YouTube, but if I'm gonna spend a ton of money on products, I want to like get some views and some growth out of it and stuff like that. So I probably don't see myself getting it honestly, or I'm gonna get like one liquid shadow and like maybe like 1/6 pan. I honestly wasn't super enthused by it. I definitely really like the liquid shadows, but it's just gonna be so late. The collection is gonna have been out for a pretty long time by the time I get back and can buy it and it ships. So I feel like you guys are gonna have tons of other YouTubers you can use as resources for that collection. I just don't really see myself getting it, or if I do get it, it'll be on sale on Black Friday kind of a situation where I'm just getting it for myself. If you do want me to get it and like you would watch a review or demo using it even if it was super late, you can let me know in the comments and let me know what you're interested in, and if I do get a lot of requests for something specific, I'll buy it. But with that, I'm gonna end off this video. There's been a lot of opinions about Pat McGrath as a brand with this collection. A lot of people kind of view this as almost like her brand feels really cheap and unreliable. It doesn't feel luxury anymore. Like a lot of people are saying it just felt like this collab, she didn't bring forth what you'd expect a luxury brand to do. It just felt so kind of contrary to the image that she has curated for her brand. I can agree with all of these points. It's not going to stop me from buying from her, but I definitely feel like I'm not so sure what's going on behind closed doors with her brand. I feel like a lot of balls were dropped with this. I still enjoyed it, but there was a lot of missed potential for sure. Stickers on everything was not really that great, and those iPods, aside from Falcon Noir, Smuggler's Spice was such a disappointment. But yeah, so with that, I'm just gonna go ahead and end this video here. If you have any more questions or comments about anything Pat McGrath or whatever, definitely feel free to leave a comment, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye bye.